You know, um, one of these days, I'll 100% have to cover one of the upcoming, at least upcoming for this retroactive watch-a-thon X-Men movies and watch The Greatest Showman at the same time because, Hugh Jackman. But today is not that day. Today is the day that I'm going to tell you my opinions on The Sound of Music and Men Origins Wolverine. The Sound of Music. What an iconic piece of cinema. And what a long, long fucking movie that is. And what a boring fucking 2/3 of a movie that is. Christ. Listen, I like the songs. There was a bit of cuteness sprinkled into this entire affair every now and again. And that kept my interest to 30%, 40% if I'm being generous. But up until the third act came around, I was 100% sure this movie was going to be a fucking 4 out of 10. By God, was it dull. And by God, did I not give a shit. And then the Nazis happened. And listen, I'm not going to be the person to tell you that Nazis appearing is a good thing, but in this case it 100% is. The basic story of The Sound of Music is you have this nun who's none too good at being a nun, and so she's sent away to be a nanny for some Austrian officer and his quirky gang of kids that are his own children. The mother of the officer has died a few years ago, and he's indirectly also looking for a new mother for the kids. I mean, you can kind of already see how this movie is going to end. It's going to be something along the lines of, oh my God, I found true love yet again. After all this time, it was that nun who's no longer a nun. And I marry her after I've gotten to know her better. And we have family time together, and the children, they started to truly love her because she has a heart of gold or whatever. And that's cute and all, but Christ, it's not 3 hours worth a movie cute. Not even 2 hours worth a movie cute, because these 2 hours are what really bugged me. I just didn't give a shit. Listen, The Hills Are Alive is a great song. Actually, I'm not sure if the song itself is called that, but which song I mean. The opening track. Great song. My favorite things. Great song. 16 going on 17. Great song. But that doesn't really help this movie be any more interesting. At least up until the last third, when we get enough tension for the movie to carry itself. Before that, shit all happens. And Christ, do I not give a fuck. That's all that I can say about The Sound of Music. The performances are okay, the music is great, the cinematography is awesome, but by God, there's not a lot of things. Not a lot of things are happening in this movie. That's all that I can say about it. There's just so little to really focus on, and I was fucking happy once the third act arrived. The third act elevates this movie greatly. Initially, as I previously stated, I would have given this movie a 4 out of 10. But thanks to that final act, it gets a 7 out of 10. I might go back to watching this movie in a few years, once I've forgotten about all the parts that I really disliked. But up until that point, I will just kind of avoid it whenever possible. It's not that great a movie. It's probably a good musical. I've never seen it on stage. I might just check it out if I see it someplace or another that I might visit in the future. But as I previously stated, this movie is dull. At least 2/3 of it. But as a whole, once again, once you have the last act, the last third, it still deserves a 7 out of 10. The cinematography, performances, the musical numbers themselves, all well staged, well choreographed, And once again, the last act just gives it a bit of salt that is definitely and also desperately needed within the first two acts to elevate this movie and then give it some taste, a bit of spice. Without it, there's not enough spice. A movie that does have enough spice is the next movie I'm going to talk about, Men Origins Wolverine. This movie is dumb. So unbelievably dumb. And boy, did I not give a shit about the story, but for a mindless late 2000s action movie, this movie does everything exactly right. There is so much dumb shit to look at, and so much dumb shit to enjoy, that I would be remiss if I didn't accept it and respect it thoroughly for what it is. No, it's not a masterpiece. It doesn't need to be. It is what it is. A really fucking entertaining, but a really stupid action movie. And, with the risk of me coming off as a complete and utter douchebag, I'll give you the rating right now. Yes, X-Men Origins Wolverine occupies the same space when it comes to movie ratings. In my brain, the very same space as The Sound of Music. It's also a 7 out of 10. I just can't help it. Like, there are so many musical movies that are 10,000 times better than an X-Men Origins Wolverine could ever be as an action movie, if you catch my drift. But The Sound of Music is exactly the kind of musical movie that is what X-Men Origins Wolverine is to action movies. It's way above average. There's so much in it. But if you dig a bit deeper, you realize it's lacking in certain aspects, but it manages very effectively to paint over all of these severe lacking areas with a brush that is thick and a brush that is also very corny and a brush that is over the top. And it's exactly that kind of brush that gives both these movies the power to elevate themselves to the level of a 7 out of 10. That is it. That really, truly, and 100% is it. These are two movies that can look over their own flaws just by shoving everything else right in your fucking face. Take a look at this great shot of the Austrian side of the Alps. Take a look at this great fucking action scene where Gambit is just throwing cards around all willy-nilly. Take a shot at Wolverine. Take a look at Wolverine walking away from an explosion without looking back. Take a look at our main protagonists having a super adorable pillow fight. Take a look at all the shit. Take a look at an escape sequence at the end of the movie where the nuns from the beginning of the movie, turn out to be a really cool bunch of women who can fuck around with Nazis, who can fuck up Nazis just by manipulating them and by, fucking up their cars. Take a look at the absolute stupidity, but at the same time kind of genius of Wolverine beheading a very badly portrayed Deadpool, but in doing so, having a severed head that shoots lasers out of its eyes pummel into a ginormous fucking industrial furnace. No, it wasn't a furnace. It was a ginormous industrial chimney. And by doing so, making this entire chimney collapse is so fucking amazing in how stupid it is. Both these movies. You will get a fucking earworm from most of the movies in Sound of Music, even if you really didn't give a shit about their proper place in the story. It's exactly that. even if I don't fucking give a shit about that good night song, it will still be stuck in my head. Not just thanks to Family Guy, but yeah, no, that's all that I have to say about these two movies. They are, in essence, not that good. If it wasn't for everything else that just keeps on pushing them up, because that just makes them into this conundrum, into this juxtaposition of things. A dumbass story on both sides. A story that really wouldn't be worth a shit. Well, wouldn't be worth my shit. But then we also have the absolute enormity of a lift job, one could say. Certain other aspects of the movie provide. Once again, a third act that really didn't feel like it was hinted at enough in the first 2/3 of the movie. In the case of Sound of Music, and for Men Origins Wolverine, action scenes that are so stupendously over the top that you will not forget about them, and even some story beats that are like legitimately, while being stupid, still legitimately kind of cool to just kind of get lost in and to be surprised at. I don't know what to say, man. These 7 out of 10 seem unjustified initially, but every time I look back at it, it's not like these movies really disappointed me. It's not like they're below average. No. For what they are, they provide you with quite a bit. It's just that if you think about either one of these movies for a bit too long, your mind might drop right back into the 4 or 5 out of 10 category. But if you're on that sugar high of either the last third of The Sound of Music, or you're on that sugar high of Wolverine fighting on top of a ginormous industrial chimney against some dude who could shoot lasers from his eyes, teleport, and also, wait, I think that's it. He couldn't do anything else. But it doesn't fucking matter. He's also good at Japanese sword fighting. And you just go, yeah, no, that's totally a 7 out of 10. Totally. It's just, I don't know what to say, man. It seems like a really stupid decision on my part to give both these movies the same rating. But at the same time, these are some dumb movies. Awesomely dumb movies. Well, next time around, it might depend heavily on what I am going to do. Because I'm not sure if I really want to watch the Last Stand. Even though it would make for a good follow-up to Men Origins Wolverine. Because, all that shit that was introduced in the second X-Men movie was in theory paid off in Origins, even though, people aren't quite as happy about what X-Men Origins Wolverine was. But I don't care. Yeah, you know what, let's just do that. And maybe I'll also watch The Greatest Showman alongside X-Men Origins Wolverine with this double DVD copy that I've nipped from my aunt 10 years ago without her knowing. Stupid. Really fucking stupid movies. Oh, that's so fucking awesome. So goddamn awesome. Yeah.